Hey guys, and welcome back to another Reddit wedding advice video. In today's video we have a question that's been posed around advice to know about getting married or staying married. So the context of this is I'm 23 female, my boyfriend is 24 male. For some background, we've been together for 3 years, known each other about 4, have a very healthy relationship with each other and each other's families. We're moving in together in 3 months and people have been telling me they think he'll propose soon, and I have been getting subtle hints. A further background, we have lived together before and have a very good routine and respect and love towards each other. For married or newly engaged couples, or anyone really, what are some important things to know about the process of getting engaged, married, or just some wholesome advice? I used to work in the wedding industry with my mum, so I understand the coordination and effort it takes to get prepped, but I want to know the beautiful and raw things about engagement, marriage. I witnessed so many engagements and weddings, we're both excited, so much involved. I just want to be fairly smooth and enjoyable time. That is cool. So I think from my perspective, I'm just going to dive straight in. I think it's great that you are going to be living together first. There's so many people I know who have got engaged and then they've gone to live together and the whole relationship's just fallen apart. They can't deal with each other's idiosyncrasies, they can't deal with each other's habits. There's little quirks that maybe they're quite cute when you see them on occasion, but when you live together they will start to get annoying. So it's nice that you kind of have that. Obviously you said you've lived together before and for whatever reason you don't now, and obviously you're going to be moving in together as well again, so that's a good first start. I think the second thing I would say is obviously you need to make sure that you are compatible on a lot of the other things that are going to crop up in your marriage. So things like children. Do you want children? When do you want them? How many do you want? Now, I think things like how many do you want will vary. It may be that you want 2, he wants 4. You have 1, you go, that's enough. So these things, that sort of thing can vary. But obviously, being on the same page that you both want children or you don't, it's really going to help you down the line. The last thing you want to do is get married and then find out that your partner doesn't actually want to have a family. Again, it's something else that I've seen, and it can be a deal breaker and it can destroy marriages, especially if one of you said yes and actually you didn't mean it, and then it puts the other person in quite an awkward position. So I would say that's one of the big things that you need to talk about. Another thing, things like, bills. I know it sounds really silly, but get your bills and your finances kind of in order. Is it going to be that one of you pays for the shopping, the food shop, and say the pet bills, and the other one's going to pay for the mortgage or rent? Are you going to share? Is there going to be like a joint savings, joint account, that sort of thing? So be really 100% clear on what is expected from each of you, just to make it really, really fair when it comes to paying bills and outgoings as well. I think it's something, I know a few couples who have never had a joint account, and that works for them. Some couples only have joint accounts, and again that works for them. Or some people have joint and individual. Personally, I opt for the joint account for bills and an individual account for my own spending. It just makes it a bit easier when it comes to things like birthdays and Christmas, so that they actually surprises able to happen, and they don't know where you're kind of like shopping from and how much those outgoings are. So that's one thing I would say. I think as well, the division of house tasks is quite a big thing. Things like who's going to do the hoovering and the washing and the dishwasher, or the washing up, who's going to be responsible for those things. So for instance, in my relationship, I tend to do the washing and things like the dishwasher, and sort of I enjoy cleaning. Cleaning is a way I calm my anxieties, so I don't mind doing like the general cleaning, but then my husband will hoover and he'll do all the maintenance on the cars and sort of all the DIY around the house. So in that sense it's split. We didn't split into what I've heard referred to as blue jobs and pink jobs, so his and her jobs. It was literally, I do not like hoovering, I will do the rest, and he was quite happy to take on all sort of the manual labour stuff. That being said, if I'm ill or I'm having a bad day of it or what have you, he will still step in and do it. It's not a case of, well, that's your job, it's got to wait till you're better. So just have that kind of understanding on what is expected of you. Definitely, as a woman, don't take everything on and be like, I'm going to be the 1950s housewife. But also don't expect the man to do everything for you as well. For me, it has to be a mostly equal relationship. It won't be equal 100% of the time. There's going to be cases where you're going to take more or give more, and it just ebbs and flows. But as long as you've got the mutual respect for each other for that. Which leads me on to my next point, which is around the respect, especially when it comes to partners' families. There's likely to be occasions where you're going to fall out with a family member. And I would always suggest putting your partner first, especially even if it's against your birth family. Do definitely do that. I think unless he's in agreement with them, you've chosen to spend the rest of your life with this person, and you need to support each other and have each other's backs. Now I know that's really hard, and a lot of people probably won't agree with me here, but I do think when you are in a relationship, that comes first. And your birth family on occasion are going to be wrong, and they are going to maybe say something that you don't like. So maybe they don't like something that he said or something that he did, but if it doesn't bother you, stand up for him. In the same as well, if there's something that he's going through with someone in his family and you feel confident enough to stand up for him, do that as well. I've done it before. It's uncomfortable to begin with because they're not used to you standing up to them, but actually it does make for a much better relationship going forward, especially with your in-laws actually and your parents, because they start to realise that they can't talk to you the way they have been talking, or things have got to change, and it can incite change, and it is actually a really, really positive thing. At the time it won't feel like it, but after the fact it is great. And again, that leads nicely into communication. I am classic at not expressing how I feel. As I've mentioned in previous videos, I suffer with anxiety and depression, which often leads me to shutting down. I don't always want to express how I feel or know to express how I feel, and for a while, understandably, that it was frustrating for my husband because he didn't know how he could help me. He didn't know whether there was something really wrong, if there was something that I was just kind of down about, because I was completely shutting down. Now, we've been together 11 years now, so it's taken a while for us to get to this point, but maybe about 4 years ago, we just sat down and had a chat, and my husband said, if you don't tell me what's wrong, I can't help you. At which point I said, but if I don't know what is wrong, I can't tell you what is wrong. And I don't want to just make something up for the sake of filling a void and answering a question. So we came up with an agreement, or an understanding. If at any point I am in a place where I feel withdrawn, I don't feel right, and I don't know why, I will just say to him, I don't feel great, I feel low, I feel XYZ, but I don't know why. When I do know, if I know, I will tell you. I'll tell you when I feel better. Now this may sound like really juvenile and kind of like primary school attitude, but it's done wonders, because he now knows when I'm feeling low. I have told him, so I don't feel as though I'm keeping something, even though I wasn't, and it just kind of works in that way, that we're communicating. Okay, we're not communicating about what the issue is, because at that point I don't know, but we are getting there. Another thing as well, I'm sure you've had it, where you just want to rant, and the last thing you need is someone giving you helpful advice. We've all been there. Sometimes you just want to rant, you don't want to be listening to the voice of reason, you don't necessarily want to hear how to make it better, you just want to get something off your chest. I'm very vocal about this, and I will say, I just need to rant. Right now I don't want any advice, like maybe I'll come back for it later, but right now I just need to rant, and he just sits there and he just listens, and that's amazing as well. So communicating not just necessarily about how you feel, but about how you want to communicate in your relationship, I think is a really important thing. So that's kind of like foundation relationship, I guess, but it does translate into marriage as well. I think one of the biggest things, like I mentioned, you know, stand up for your partner, respect and support, but definitely support them in like their dreams. And I know it sounds really obvious, but treat someone how you want to be treated. So, you know, make sure that you're supporting his dream, but also make sure that he's supporting your dream. So it kind of feeds into the whole, you get out what you put in. But do make sure that that person has got your same interests at heart. So I'm kind of going on to a slightly different view of it now. The one thing I would say, I guess, around that is make sure that you both understand what it is you want to do in your lives. Maybe one of you wants to emigrate and the other one doesn't, and that is not going to work, because if you both stay, you'll be unhappy. If you both go, one of you will be unhappy. So, you know, do make sure that you understand, kind of like, even if it's just like a 5-year plan, I get that these things change, but at least this way you can kind of have an idea of where your life might be going. As for tips for a successful marriage, I mean, I've been married for 3 years now. It's no different to a successful relationship. It's all about the respect, the understanding, taking the time. I think it's really easy to get into a rhythm of just being and forgetting to take time for each other. So do, you know, if you can afford it, go out for that meal or have a takeaway on occasion and just be yourselves. Don't always feel like you have to be out with friends or include friends in things that you do. Definitely do take time just for yourselves. Even if it's just something silly like watching a new episode of House of the Dragon every week, or I don't know, if he plays video games and you like reading, just be in the same room. A lot of times I've spent with my husband have been us playing video games with our headphones on. We're not even talking to each other, or we're editing back to back, but he's still there. I can still touch him and make contact and everything like that. So do definitely make time for each other. I think that is one of the things that is good for a lasting relationship. But otherwise, I think we're all just out here figuring it out. Listen to your partner, things they do like, things that they don't like. The things they don't like, even if it seems funny to you, like tickling, don't do it, because they just won't respect it or you anymore. But yeah, I think that's really kind of the bulk of it. I don't really think there's much more to say than what I've said. It is wedding season, so there's going to be loads of people out there talking about this. Like you've mentioned, the planning is actually, it is a lot, it's very involved, but it's fun. And do it together, plan together. I don't agree with this attitude of it's for a woman, so women should plan it. Absolutely not. We planned our wedding together. There are certain things that he did, certain things that I did, but the majority of it we did together. At the end of the day, it's your day together. But also, caveat to that, as long as you get married, the day's gone perfectly anyway. But that's it, guys, for today's video. Make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment about what your marriage advice is, anything you agree with what I've said, anything you don't agree with, let me know, and hit that subscribe button. We have a lot of fun stuff coming up this year, which I'd love for you guys to see. Head over to TikTok and Instagram, the links are in the description, and see what I'm getting up to as well. But I'll see you guys in the next one.